of my first jobs was as a cleaner. She was like, what? I said, I was a cleaner. I said, I used to clean the office, and they gave me good money because I used to clean the post office cafeteria, come in, mop the floors, arrange the tables, they eat, I mop the floor, arrange the chair. Some people are like, oh, God gave me a dream. Okay. And, but they're like, and I said, we are co-workers with God. You know, we are his arms, we are his body, right? But people want God to be the worker. Like, I've seen the dream, I'll supervise you. God, let me be the supervisor. Start working. When is the investor coming? When are you bringing the person with the money? That's what people are doing. And that's they don't even say I don't have money. God gave me a dream. So how much will it cost? About 100 million. So yeah, I'm waiting on God. So they want God literally to dump. But they're not on the internet saying where the venture capitalists. Today, let me spend time and say, who are the venture capitalists in Uganda? What do they require? They require a business plan. They require a projection of 5 years. So now that's your part. Then God starts to order your steps. But people are like, oh, I'm waiting on God. And God is also like, I'm waiting on Renee. Yeah. So everyone's waiting on the other. God is waiting on you. You're waiting on God. You're all like this.
Hi everybody, my name is Renee and you're very welcome to today's episode. So many of you know that I learn from listening from people, listening from people's stories, listening from what they've gone through, and we learn many things from that. So today we are talking about personal growth, being deliberate about growing as an individual. And that is a topic that cuts across. I know every one of us is going to benefit, and I have a special guest that I want to introduce to you, who is going to share with us her experience in life. She's very good. She's doing well in the tech industry. Some of you know her, some of you don't know her, but don't worry, you're going to have a look at her. But before we go to her, I want to give you a preamble about personal growth. And when we look in the dictionary, it actually means process of improving yourself by learning new skills or information to achieve goals and reach your full potential. So I don't know if you've met people that lament in life, that always have an excuse for not doing what they're supposed to do. There is someone in their way, there is something that is not coming up, there's something not adding up, and as a result, they keep giving excuses until there are no more excuses. Keep giving excuses for not doing what you're supposed to do. So today we want to talk about that and talk about how to be deliberate about personal growth. Yeah? So please welcome with me, Angela Mirembe Semo Gere. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Renee. Thank you.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and hi to our viewers.
You look lovely.
Thank you.
Today. I've looked forward to having you for quite some time.
Thank you.
And I'm very happy that today you made it.
Thank you.
So tell us, who is Angela?
Who is Angela? Angela is a person who's passionate about seeing people reach their potential, as you've said. In any field, I know I'm known for the tech field, you know, especially with coding and heels, but just life in general, like in general, whether it's finances, whether it's your hobbies and your passions and purpose, just living to our fullest. You know, Miles Monroe said we must die empty. And he said the richest place on earth is the graveyard, because people die with all their talents and untapped things that they could have brought to the world. So for me, that's one of my aims, to get people to really do the best they can so that we all die empty.
That's good. When did you start doing this? When did you start being passionate about this?
Do you know, I think from a young age, I always knew I wanted to speak. Actually, like, I think I was having like a crisis at my S6 because people were filling in the different things they wanted to do. Like, I want to be, you know, a doctor, so I'm applying for this course. And I got confused because I knew I wanted to speak. At that time, we didn't know that there were inspirational speakers or motivational speakers. So I knew from a young age, I always used to, you know, get my toothbrush and pretend it's a mic and I'm talking to people. So with the advent of, you know, preachers like Joyce Meyer and T.D. Jakes, they would speak and audiences would listen. But I knew I wasn't going to be a preacher. but I knew I wanted to speak life into people. So I think it's something I wanted to do like from a very, very young age.
So you're made for the stage.
Possibly.
Great. So tell us more about your growing up, how this actually evolved in you. How did you get to realize that that was your dream per se? How did you notice this was something you wanted to do? At what age did it start? And how was your childhood like, briefly?
Well, I was born in Nairobi.
Yeah.
Then I moved here, I think around the age 3.
Yeah.
Then I went to live in Lesotho. And then I studied in South Africa,
Okay.
where I spent most of my childhood, I think, maybe like from age 9 into my teens. Then I came back and went to Namasagali, St. Lawrence. Then I went to study in the UK. Then I came back. So I've kind of been all over the place.
Yeah.
I was privileged to have attended international schools, if I must say, which open your eyes up to, you know, a life where you're doing swimming lessons and tennis lessons and, you know, and then having to come back here, which it was very different, and having to adjust where it wasn't so much of an adjustment because I went to Namasagali, which was, you know, a pretty cool school. So that's how I really grew up. I grew up with my aunt and late British uncle, so we were very exposed to the expat community. So my life really, growing up, was exposed more to the outside world and then my adult life is the one that I've really lived in Kampala. Yeah.
When I was reading about you and reading about your story, there's something that caught my attention, and that was how, till up to now, you don't have a university degree, Ugandan based. How was that? How did it come about? And how have you managed to actually evolve without some of what people here call essential documents?
Well, I think as a young person, I enjoyed studying, but the pressure I experienced here. Now, please understand that even when I left Uganda and went to Lesotho, class was very different. I was in Nakasero Primary, and it was like, everyone who got below 50, lie down, you know, and you're getting caned. And then when I went to the international school over there, and it's like 4 people on a desk, mind you, like 6 people on a bench, and there's like, I don't know, maybe 20 benches. And then there's like 4 people, and the teacher is walking up to, oh, you don't understand, it's okay, you can stay after class. And I thought, what? yeah. So I think when I came back, the pressure was a lot. S4, particularly S6, you know, because everyone's like, if you don't make it to the hill, you're going to be a failure, you know. Yes, and I think actually I went into a depression because the pressure was just too much. Like, you don't even know what you want to be yet, and because people who've been brought up in that structure are like, yeah, by this time I want to do this, this is my first, what do they call it, my first choice. And at that point, I think my mom helped me and took me to a doctor who identified that I was actually now starting to get like anxiety and mental issues. And he sat me down, and I think he helped me because he said, even if you don't go to the hill, what's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah, what's the worst
thing that can happen? What's the worst thing that can happen? And surprisingly, my mom said, you know what, do what you can. Whatever happens, happens. And I actually didn't do too bad. Now, the issue came because what I didn't tell you is I was also very much a tomboy. I loved electronics. Like, my mom would come back and I'm on the roof tilting the aerial. She comes back, I've opened the toaster, I've opened the music systems because I must know, how does this all work, right? So I always loved that. So when we were waiting, I think it was during vacation, I chose to go to Uptake and do a diploma in information systems. And I was like, IT is the thing for me. But at the same time, my mathematics was like, no. So my parents realistically sat me down and said, look, this whole ICT thing is like mathematics, and why don't you do human resource? Now my friends who know me, people. So I was like, nah. So it really went into my mom really saying, this is the way to go. And I really, and that's what I was telling you, it comes down to knowing yourself. I could not imagine myself doing 3 or 4 years or whatever, how many years it was, in a course that I just couldn't care for. It was like a battle in the family. I became the rebellious child who doesn't want to study, but in my heart of hearts, I knew I couldn't do it. So as a result, I said I can't do it. I'm not gonna go. It was a whole big thing in the family. She refused to go to school. Eventually, my mom gives up and she's like, look, I'm going to let you do what you want to do. You want to be a grown-up? What do you want to do? I said, look, you just get me a ticket to England. I'll sort myself. I'll sort out where I'll live. I'll sort myself out. That's the only favor you can do for me. So I did end up going to England and having to take care of myself, pay my tuition, work hours and hours while studying, hours and hours. I worked and studied so hard. I probably had about three breakdowns, like collapsing, like literally. But in that way, I was able to take myself into different, ICT courses. I did web design. I tried networking. So I tampered with a lot of the IT hardware. I wanted to understand everything. Yes. So of course, then being out there, university was like £30,000, which I couldn't afford. So I ended up trying different colleges and taking internships. So that's how my education missed the degree part. I know people will be like, don't you want to go back now and get, nah.
So you come back and now you have to settle in.
Yeah, I had to settle. And then I do my first attempt, like every person, go through the newspapers. And I was like, oh, there's an admin job. What's so hard? And I remember it was on Acacia Avenue. And I got there and I was like, admin, there must be a few people. And I got there and honestly, there must have been about 80 people. And I was like, holy smokes. So, and the job description's like print, get papers, do errands, coffee. So I was like, I can do that. I've been working in IT companies in London. So halfway the interview, this gentleman comes and he's very angry. And he says, everyone, listen to me. If you do not have a degree, don't waste our time. Get up and go. And at first I was like, oh, okay. So I was waiting like maybe of 20 of us to stand up. And I stood up and I think it was just me and one more person. I was like, is this why my parents were telling me to get a degree? Yeah. And I actually cried. I was like, oh my gosh, did I make a mistake? Because I walked from Acacia Avenue. I think I walked up to the lights. What's that? Centenary Park? Yeah. Contemplating, thinking, oh my God, have I made a mistake? If just serving tea requires a university degree, what on earth am I in for? But
which year was that?
I think it was 2000 and maybe 5. Yeah. Okay. So I talked to my mom knew I'm very, she knew what I'm capable of. And she said, look, the least we can do as a network, you have to present yourself. And that's what people forget. Because I know it's families help each other because Uganda is quite, close-knit. You might know someone. But the thing my mom refused to do was to speak for me. She'll be like, so-and-so is opening a company. We can make you an appointment. Go present yourself. Because that's all I told my mom. I just need an opportunity. And then I will work with that opportunity. So, and then around that time, I went into an interview for my first company. It was Comtel, and I met with some of the directors, and I spoke my head off because I'd got my training in London, seriously, and I was offered the job. Now, the thing with the degree, the paper will speak to a certain extent. It will show you got your A's and your B's and whatever. But when you're going for work, you need other aspects, which now they call soft skills. Do you have emotional intelligence? How's your IQ? How's your AQ? Can you fit into the culture? So now those are the things that I'd learned, which the university degree may not have pointed out. So I knew how to interact. I knew about things like rapport. How do you know when you're having an interview with someone and they're really keen and interested? I learned how to study body language. So those are things that yes.
Those are things that most people with degrees do not
dismiss, yes. Because you come and your first class degree, but you can't speak and you're asking for a sales job and they're asking you how are you? I'm fine. Yeah, you cannot sell.
And I think it's very important for people to learn that now. I mean, the soft skills in Uganda are not taught in school.
They ask you, why do you want to work for this company? I think I can bring something to the table. What's on our table? What's on our table that you can add on? Yeah. So that's how I ended up. And from there, then I started obviously learning about the power of the subconscious mind. I read the book by, I believe it was Joseph Murphy, called Power of the Subconscious Mind. And everything is done subconsciously and how you must be very intentional about what you want. So from there, I started saying, okay, I've worked in this company. Now I want to work in this company. Can I visualize myself there? What's this company about? What do they do? What would I bring to the table? Because if the opportunity should present itself, whether I'm in the bank and I happen to bump into the CEO, do I have knowledge about that company? Can I tell him, oh, by the way, I love your company. I realized you guys did $50 million after 7 years. Trust me, anyone is interested in yes. Yeah? But all you're waving is that one piece of paper and thinking it's going to open all doors on earth for you. Renee, what if I told you? I used to be so shy, so closed off. I don't even know if it's being shy, but such an introvert that in Warid, my colleagues used to make fun of me. Like, we would enter a lift. Like, if you're my friends, I don't know how to go out and make new friends. I have friends who are so good at that, but I'm not good at that, right? And we would all enter the lift and they would jump out and leave me in there. You know why? Because my worst nightmare was being in the lift or a closed space with someone I don't know. Because I'm thinking, okay, do I say hi? Do they say hi? What's the small talk? It was so bad even when I used to use taxis. I'd literally put earphones in my ears with no music. And the minute I'd start saying like someone wants to say hi, I'd start bobbing my head like I'm listening to music. So I pretend I can't hear them. But I realized I cannot get through this world.
With such a mind.
If you really want to know how I experienced that, so I'm in London, I'm looking for a job, I get an opportunity, they call me, come for a job. So I get into a lift with a Nigerian man. Worst nightmare. I'm in the lift alone, I'm nervous, I'm going for an interview, and this man comes in, and I'm just like, and he says to me, hello, young lady. And I'm just like, look, dude, I'm going for an interview, I'm not in the mood, you know. So I just tell him, hi. He says, young lady, how are you? I said, I'm fine. And he says, where are you from? So I said, I'm from Uganda. He says, young lady, how long have you been in London? So I said, I think it was maybe like a month. He said, let me tell you something. If you plan to make it in London, you see that demeanor you have right there? You better leave it in this lift. You have to learn to stand up straight. You have to learn to speak up. You have to be audible. You have to take charge. He said, all right? I'm like, fine. He says, see you later. I go up. I get into the interview room. Who's in the interview room? The man. He tells me, young lady, how are you? Do you think I was meek?
No.
I'm very well, thank you.
Like, you really had to show you.
Yeah. Yes. And then I worked there like just a short while. I didn't like the job. And then I got another job in a place I really wanted. And that was for an international design company, for the furniture design company. It was called Bold Concept, and it was in 21 countries in a posh neighborhood. I was like, this is right up my street. Yeah. And you know, when I got there, my self-esteem was low. My friend Sandra even bought me the clothes because I just arrived. I'm like green. And I got there and people in the interview suited up. My braids are like starting they're so old. Yeah. And I kept remembering that man, take charge of the room, take charge of the room. So when the lady was like, Angela's next. Trust me, when I got in there, I wasn't like, good afternoon. I'm like, good afternoon. So have you worked in furniture? No, but I know you talked about having someone with some computer understanding. I was like rapping. I didn't care if what I was saying was right, but I was rapping. So it's training. No one trained me. No one put me aside and said, you have to make an effort.
Do you remember some of the mistakes you've made in your career walk? Things you feel you ruined, like you made a mistake that you wouldn't do if you were given that opportunity back. Is there any incident that has ever happened to you in your career, in your desire to grow, that you consider a major mistake that, given that opportunity now, you would do better?
I don't know if it will sound very fake if I say don't. I don't. Because my life is very intentional. Very.
Yeah.
When I told you, my day usually starts at 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And it's not that I set an alarm, it's automatic. I suffer from insomnia. But I think through everything I'm going to do. Everything. I told you I go through my budgets and Excel sheets like at 5. Am I making the right financial decisions? What can I do better today? What did I do wrong yesterday? Am I on track for my goals? So usually you neglect yourself. Usually regrets come from things like, oh, I had a really good job and I performed really badly, or I played around in the opportunity and then lost it. But because I take life so seriously, I don't give myself that chance to be like, oh, you were the worst performer, you have to go.
Yeah.
Thank God I've never been fired from a corporate place where it's like due to your bad performance. So yeah, I can't say, I don't look back and I'm like, oh, if only I'd done this. The only thing I told you is like, I wish the knowledge I've consumed like in the last 7 years, I wish I'd consumed it earlier, like in my 20s.
People need to make good use.
Absolutely, because 1 minute you're 15, the next day you're 27, and people are so lucky. I keep telling my mom, if I was in school in the day of YouTube, oh, not even that. I don't know if I would have gone to school.
And I think that's what. So I want you to look in the camera and talk to that timid young girl who is in their 20s, who is in their early 30s, and they still haven't figured out what they should be doing with their life. They actually don't know what they should be doing with their life.
Yeah. I think the lie we have is that you go to school. I mean, let's assume you live till 90. Yeah? And they're telling you within the first 18 years, you'll have it figured out. You'll know where you want to live. You'll know what courses you want to do. You'll know what career you want. You're only 18. And the world is drastically changing. Yeah. I think what I would tell people is try and fail. Wake up today and say, I'm going to try this. Give it your best shot. Don't assume, you see, this is my side gig as I'm looking for a job, and then you give it 10%. How will you ever know if you'll be good at it? So every day, wake up. Well, if you're in school, say, you know what? I'm not good at math, but I'm very good at physics. Push physics all the way. If you're at work and you're like, I'm not feeling work, don't slack off at work. I told you, Miles Monroe said 8 to 5 is to make your employer rich. 5 beyond is to make yourself rich. But unfortunately, we give our employers everything. Come 7 o'clock, Netflix till midnight, and then you're not doing anything for yourself. So I tell a young person today, as much as you want that job, which may not come easily, we know job scarcity is through the roof. For crying out loud, you're 400,000 coming out every year, looking for jobs where people are not even retiring.
Yeah.
So what's your plan? And we have this thing of, I can't do that job. I was talking to my sister. She lives in US, and we were talking about hustling. She's like, yo, this year I have to hustle. And I told her, man, I'm hustling day and night. I'm looking for money and opportunities day and night. So we were talking, and I was telling her, yeah, in London, one of my first jobs was as a cleaner. She was like, what? I said, I was a cleaner. I said, I used to clean the office, and they gave me good money because I used to clean the post office cafeteria, come in, mop the floors, arrange the tables, they eat, I mop the floor, arrange the chairs, and I was getting 200 pounds every Friday.
Yeah.
But here, I was telling her, let me tell you, I'm so mad. We're living in an economy where we don't have 24 hours. Uganda is shut, so 9 o'clock is shut unless you're working like in a bar or a restaurant, yeah? But I told her, if we had that whole shift work mentality, I told her, I don't even know how many jobs I'd have.
Yeah.
Because I want to work.
But you see, Angela, that attitude something must have reformed that attitude. Either it was your way of growing up, either you learned it from a book, either you learned, because everybody doesn't have that attitude.
Renee, I remember how I told you, people must know themselves. What do you like? Not about that. What do you want in life? Let's start there. How many people sit and ask themselves? That is the hardest question most people can ask themselves. What do you want? If someone asks me, Angie, what kind of life do you want? Heck, I want a life. December, I fly to wherever I want.
Yeah.
I want to be able to go to the fuel station and my heart doesn't jump out when I'm putting fuel in my car. I don't want to worry about the price of Wi-Fi. I just want to be able to go on YouTube 24/7.
Yeah.
That life is not going to come to me by me putting my feet up. So if I look at my target life, and I calculated that, let's say it demands 6 million a month. Honey, I don't have time to sleep.
Yeah.
But if I'm just like, whatever comes, I don't mind just anything. If the car breaks down, I don't mind walking. That's also a standard. That's someone's standard, and it doesn't qualify them to want to work as much as I want to work. It's really about, you know, you look, sometimes we sit and I watch a lot of shows to do with rich people. I do not because I want to envy, and not so I can say, that will never be my house, let me at least watch it on the... I'm very keen on what's out there in the world, because we're so closed off. And unfortunately, when you don't travel, you don't realize how closed off until the day you get out of Entebbe. And you're like, what?
What am I doing?
It's like how I left for London. Here we were like, there's a new mall, Pioneer Mall. I went and I sat with my friend Sandra and their friends. They were discussing mortgages. Really, I was like, what is a mortgage? People my age group, us were talking about the latest mall and this crazy beer that brought where people get drunk on 2 bottles. People my age group were discussing mortgages and applying for mortgages and getting down payment. And I'm telling you, in that conversation, I was like this.
So what do you, I mean, there are many people, many times by the time someone is 20, 30, they kind of know what they want to do.
Right.
But there's usually this issue of procrastinating. Something God has put in your heart, you keep waiting for, I don't know what.
For what?
You know? So what would you say in that case?
People need to set goals. Any person who's a procrastinator, and that's how life goes. You sit, I have this dream, 2020. I've been having this dream, 2021. I think this year, but you just tell that person, give me your blueprint. That's when you'll know if someone is really serious about something or not.
Yeah.
Because there are goals and there's wishful thinking. Wishful thinking is, one day I also hope to have a show like yours. A goal is, you know what?
I'm going to start.
I'm starting on August 27th. I've done the budget. It's going to cost me $50,000 for the equipment. I've already sourced some of the suppliers. There's one in Dubai. Now that is goal orientation.
Yeah.
So anybody, when you say someone who's procrastinating, that's someone without a goal. That is...
It's wishful thinking.
I mean, even the Bible says, how can you build a house without first counting the cost? Some people are like, God gave me a dream. Okay. But they're like, and I say, we are co-workers with God. You know, we are his arms, we are his body, right? But people want God to be the worker. Like, I've seen the dream, I'll supervise you. God, let me be the supervisor. Start working. When is the investor coming? When are you bringing the person with the money? That's what people are doing. And that's,
know what happened.
they don't even say I don't have money. God gave me a dream. So how much will it cost? About 100 million. So yeah, I'm waiting on God. So they want God literally to dump. But they're not on the internet saying where are the venture capitalists. Today, let me spend time and say, who are the venture capitalists in Uganda? What do they require? They require a business plan. They require a projection of 5 years. So now that's your part. Then God starts to order your steps. But people are like, oh, I'm waiting on God. And God is also like, I'm waiting on Renee. Yeah. So everyone's waiting on the other. God is waiting on you. You're waiting on God. You're all like this.
So what are some of those practical steps someone in that position should be taking now? Going on internet, searching?
Search out what you want to. There's a first step to everything. Hey, go to ChatGPT. Ask, how do I start this business? It will lay it out. Number 1, make a business proposal. Number 2, do market research. Number 3, where are you going to source your products? But someone's like, I want to start a shop, I want to sell. They have no idea. None.
About that kind of
There's nothing that comes. Let me tell you. I quit my job in telecom. I was tired of the corporate whole. I was either to quit or start being a mediocre employee. And rather than be a mediocre employee, I resigned. And I resigned like these people. Oh, I want to leave and start doing my own thing. And I slept day 1, day 2. Day 3, I woke up and I was like, wait a minute. You mean I don't have a job? You mean I don't have income? Oh my goodness. The light came on real fast. And I had to think. And trust me, I was staying with my mom at the time, but I wasn't like, I'm at home. I quickly had to find a plan. I started meddling in kids' things. So I said, I need capital. So I went to a family friend, very wealthy man. And I was like, if I go to Uncle so-and-so, and I tell him I want some capital for business, he'll give me the money. I went, but you don't go. I was like, I don't go like showing that you just want, say you want investment. Went, requested for an appointment. He's like, sure, come. I'm like, see, Uncle, so I really have a dream to start a kids party business. I've already got a name, Angel Wings, business card. I just need capital of like 500,000 and I'll bring it back. And you know what I was expecting? Oh, 500 only, it's okay. Because he's a billionaire. He's like, oh, it's okay. My dear, he was like, oh, you want capital? Just 500? I said, yeah, just because I'm thinking it's little, so he'll forgive it. He said, okay, so let's sign an agreement. When are you bringing the money back? I said, 2 months. He said, fine. Called the secretary, draft me a brief agreement and just taking this money. I went, I bought my capital. But did I sleep? I had to work to bring that money back. And it didn't even have interest on it. It wasn't a loan shark, but that integrity of I promised I would bring this money back in 2 months. I did everything. I did free parties just to market. I mean, I worked for that 500. But you know what? It helped me because I had just been like, it's okay, my dear. Today you don't feel like it, but because I knew, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I have 30 days to return this money. I worked.
I think it was a good discipline, Uncle.
Yeah, because let me tell you, real rich people don't play with their money. Let me tell you, if you find a person who's playing around with money, just know that money is not hard earned. Or you can say, okay, it is principal money and it's his interest of like, he can play with that because the principal is safe. But someone who's what? There is no way. Hard earned cash? No millionaire plays or billionaire plays with their money. No way.
So, in that case, what do you think of Christians who are still looking for their purpose and purposely waiting on God to move? So that they start.
Renee, why do you want to kill me?
No, I don't have to kill you, Angela, because this is a conversation we really need to have.
Look, I'm a Christian. I have a very, very, I'd say a very strong relationship with God. We talk throughout the day, all the time, to the point where God had to train me. I guess, you know, when you're praying for Lord, I want to be this, and he has to train you. But he wants to hear how keen you are in listening to him. There are days I'd wake up, get dressed, and he's like, sit down. You're not going anywhere. And I'd be like, but I think I'm going to do something purposeful. He's like, sit down. Chill. No going out today. Then the days you're like, oh, today I just want to relax and watch HD TV. It's like, get up, get dressed, go and sit in such a place. You even go thinking, maybe it's some divine intervention. No, you just go and sit there, wait. He says, now go home. But it's about listening to instructions, right? Now, one thing I know about God, first of all, God is a God of excellence. And maybe that's why when I do something, I go all out. Yeah. When you hear how God has made heaven, streets of gold, pearly gate, honestly, he could have used Maram. Yeah? But he shows you, even when he was building, when he was giving instructions to do the Ark of the Covenant, he's very precise. These measurements, I want this thing to be like this. I mean, he's so pristine. He told them not to touch the ark. Some guy was trying to help and he killed him. Yeah. He's that straightforward, right? Now, God can give you a purpose, but it goes back to we are co-workers with God. Yeah. Now, when God is dealing with us, he told us to take dominion. We've talked about, we've read about different spheres, whether it's judicial, education, or media. You know, that whole 7 pillar. Yeah. Now, your purpose is plugged into one of those, right? Yeah. But what people forget is, even when God gives you a purpose, he's given you the instruments to use, but you can't just be seated there. Yeah. Joseph, he gave Joseph, we talk about God gave me a dream. Yeah. Joseph got a dream, right? Wasn't Joseph working half the time? He worked in Potiphar's house, he went in prison, he was working. He was working all the time, wherever he went. If you look, in fact, Miles Monroe even said, nowhere in the Bible do you hear of the word retirement. You name me one prophet or anyone who retired. There's no retirement. Huh? But us, we're like, oh, I want to work as little as 65, then I retire. Retire and do what?
We even plan for retirement.
Exactly. But there is no retirement in the Bible. So, for anyone who's saying they're waiting on God for your purpose, look, I don't care what purposes are so many. It's not just ministry. Even ministry is a purpose. Even being a school teacher is a purpose. Even being a doctor is a purpose. We are all called to different spheres. But to get there, we must work. We must work. It's about management. I require anyone to go and listen to Miles Monroe. I think it's called Financial Money Management. I think it's one of those. Huh? And it talks about God can only give you as much as you can manage. Yeah. So if you're looking around and you know your plate is empty and you have no assignments, because you're a bad manager. Yeah. You're a bad manager. To whom much is given, much is required. So you think you can just sleep in, wake up at 9. Yeah, God gave me. Let me tell you, God works with workers. None of his disciples were chilling, watching Netflix. He called everyone on a job.
Yeah, everyone was working.
Everyone was working. You're there by your computer, he says, come. He didn't find nobody swinging in trees, relaxing in the gazebo. No. So if you're not working, actually, as much as you work is as much as God can trust you with.
That's true.
So if you do 2 hours a day, he'll give you a 2-hour responsibility, if not less. Yeah. But you'll say, Lord, I want to work in that company and be a manager of, a department of 18. You can't even manage one person. What are you talking about? Yeah. So let me tell you, anyone who wants a favor or the hand of God in their life, he must have something to put his hand on. He will bless the works of your hands. What are your hands? What's the work? What's the work?
Sending CVs is not a work.
What's the work there? I don't know how. Like, I can't sit there and I'm just like, And even after the kids' parties, I'm like, oh, kids' parties. And then that started dwindling down. The next thing was like, okay, what am I going to do? Oh, went into digital training. After that, like, I'm constantly, every hour, I'm like, what am I honestly can't. And that's why I'm saying, if I'm not working, I'm learning. I don't know how to just be there and sit. Hey, Badange, what's new in town? What concerts?
So
I cannot.
Angela, so as we bring this to a close, I need to hear how you actually, the practical steps you did to start that company, Coding in Heels, and what are some of the barriers that you overcame, and how have you leveled up to have it settle in the tech sector?
You know, Coding in Heels was not really birthed out of, I'm going to start a company.
Yeah.
I was GM at Capella Foundation at the time, and my friend Andrew Tugume, he loves software and he loves giving back. So he's like, Angie, I want to train for free. I want to train software. I said, fine, it's fine in the company, as long as it's on the weekend. So he kept putting adverts out, but I noticed it was mostly guys. Like his class was full on the weekends and it's just guys. I told him, Andrew, where are the girls? He's like, look, Andrew, we keep putting adverts out, the girls don't come. So I said, you know, I remember being in tech school, you're like 3 girls in a class of 20. I said, you know what, let's do one for the girls.
Yeah.
I'll be the one to kind of run it. You can train, because me being GM, I can't, but I'll be like able to talk to the girls, inspire them as we train. So then we put on an advert, and then 10 girls applied. Yeah. So he was like, so what are you going to call it? I said, look, whenever we talk about tech, they think girls in tech are drabby and, you know, dressed in jeans and they're all bouncing around. And I said, I'm not that girl, never been that girl. I like my heels, so we can code in heels too. So that's actually how it came about.
Yeah.
So the CEO at the time was like, you know, that's a really cool thing. You really need to register it. So he started guiding me, like, you need to register it and make it a proper thing. So I was like, okay. And then the girls came and they were excited, and I talked to them, and Andrew would train them. And then, because I used to do digital training, like I think people would call out, oh, we need training and all that. But somehow during my trainings, I would start then to talk about, girls, you're not giving it your all. This tech industry is not like a university choice. It's a way of life, right? So my push for that and telling girls this is serious, I guess it just happened to be at the same time where the globe realized that women are really lacking behind. So yes, so out of that, people started to push, but that doesn't negate the fact that I was looking for opportunities. I mean, I hunted every prominent person I could to talk to them, especially female ambassadors. So on YouTube, you'll see I interviewed the former American US ambassador, the former French US ambassador. So I met prominent women and asked them, what do you think about women in this? So it kind of grew that I was called to a lot of platforms. Now, I didn't say, oh, I want to be well known in the tech space. I was just working. I worked. I would be on the call. I drive here. Who do you know? Contact this person. Email. And that's why I say, when you're just focused on work, you don't say, oh, I want to be famous. Then you start, just work. The doors will open.
Do the little.
Not even the little. Do the most. Go to bed tired. People just, you go to work, you spend the first 1 hour. You drink tea for like from 9 to 10. Then you check a bit of your Facebook. Then you respond to 5 emails. It's lunch. Then you eat lunch. Then, if afternoon tea is here, you're not exhausted. Then you go to church and you pray and say, Lord, my finances are doing badly. I need a raise. Why won't you give me a raise? Then after church, you go, then you watch the series that puts you to sleep. So it's the TV that now is like a lullaby. You don't go to bed tired. But I'm telling you, there's no money without hard work. Yeah, you can do fun. And people, even people think influencers, YouTube and Instagram, they think, Just get a camera. The content creation, I have friends who are influencers. Let me tell you, content creation is not a joke. Editing your videos, reviewing them, making sure that content comes out regularly. People just take life for a joke. They think I can escape and do this easy thing. You know, just be on the internet, do a few trending things. I have a TikTok on the building I live on. Let me tell you, this guy wakes up screaming like at 7 a.m. I'm like, I do not have the strength to wake up and be hyped and shout for all your viewers. 7 a.m.
That's his job.
Yes, and he must do it. So when you see him with 1 million followers, I do not at all say, oh, look at me. I'm a GM in IT and that one's a TikToker. I know how hard he works. I know.
So whichever field somebody's in.
Whatever field. How many TikTokers are there in the world, but how many have 1 million subscribers?
So as we close, and I think this will be our last question, what are some of those behaviors that you've noticed in young people that are very detrimental?
It's
personal growth.
It's just sad. I was telling you that life here, your family basically cradles you till you're about 24, 27, till your degree is done. And then we had that habit of, oh, but I must help my son. Really, do you have a job for my son? Yeah. Which is so different to the life abroad. Because I told you, when you turn 16 and you can drive, your parents start looking at you and start looking at the door. Because they expect you to be out of their house. Yeah. By 16, you must have a part-time job. You must be getting some payment. You want to drive a car, so we'll put half, where's the other half coming from? So young people over there are taught work ethic. And I guess it comes down to that thing of desire. They know what they want. They want to, it's a cultural thing. You must be driving at 16. For us, we don't even think of driving till we're 30, God forbid. 16, they want a car, they want the latest MacBook. So they have goals, and these goals push them. You understand? Because they know their parents are not going to buy them. They're just like, look, if I do this amount of shifts at McDonald's, then I do this in Foot Locker. They do the math because these things are in their face. They can't do without them. Yeah? But for us, we have that thing of, oh, who's going to buy this for me? You understand? Hey, somehow in our culture we have that someone will get you this thing. This man will get me this car. If I get a sugar mommy, she could plant this iPhone in me. So for us, rather than that ethic of I must work to get that, it's like, who's that person? I saw him driving a Range. Do you have his number? You understand? And then we're only taught about the hill, school. School is instilled. And then you wake up one day and there's no prep. Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah. For all those years, FP7, hey, he's a candidate. All you're doing is studying. You enter VAC. Hey, don't sleep too much. You're going for S1. You need to get the points. You get into S1. Yeah, before you relax. S4 is around the corner. You're a candidate. S6. Now you so use metrons on your case, the teachers on your case, your parents. And then you're done. Yeah. And then the papers come out. I don't know if you were the worst or the best. And then the job is not waiting like you thought. The world is not built like you thought. There are all these fancy things on the streets. You don't even have 100,000. The iPhone 14 is on 5 million shillings. The other guy in the US is like, okay, if I do a few shifts, I wash a few cars here and there. But you're waiting for the job.
Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is a candid conversation. I think it can go on and on and on, but I believe what she has shared, you can pick 1 or 2 lessons. And for me, it's the intentionality to know that no one is out there going to work for you. No one is out there going to put food on your table. No one is out there waiting for you to go to them and they give you an opportunity. You just have to push your way into that field. You just need to start that idea that God has given you. And another thing that she spoke that is very key is that we are co-workers with God. That dream that you have, God is also waiting for you to move out, and He gives you the supply. He's also waiting for you to start with what you have, and He will supply. Because you're a co-worker, you have to do something for Him to bless, for Him to add on. Yeah. So thank you very much for joining us. Till next time. Bye bye.